Box Style Forum, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Terry L, and I'm back at y'all with another one. Before I get started, y'all, hit the like and subscribe button, hit the bell icon. Let me know what you think about this video, and of course, support the movement, the Box Style Forum movement. Let's get right into it. Floyd Money Mayweather has recently come out and hit out at critics. I believe it was Ring Magazine, one of the writers who had recently posted their top 10 welterweights of all time. And in this particular listing, there were some great names in there. Sugar Ray Robinson, uh, Floyd, Floyd Mayweather, obviously, Sugar Ray Leonard, Homicide Hank Aaron. I mean, just to name a few. There were some names that were left out of that. Colin Basilio, Pernell Whitaker, who didn't make the top 10. However, the listing had Floyd Mayweather Jr. behind Sugar Ray Leonard. I believe he was like number 6 in the all-time 10 uh, best welterweights of all time. And he was angry at that. I think he probably felt he should have been number 1. That was probably his biggest criticism. But his second criticism, which got him really seeing red, was the fact that he was listed behind Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, as we all know, let's talk about accomplishments. Sugar Ray Leonard, as you know, is a very accomplished fighter in his career. He campaigned at the 147 limit for quite a bit of his career, although he did move up in weight. He fought Marvin Hagler at 160. He fought Don DeLon, campaigned at 168, which is one of his latter fights in which he won the lightweight, I believe it was a WBO light heavyweight championship or super middleweight championship. However, Don DeLon was actually light heavyweight, but then came down to 168 before the catch weight, which meant that when Sugar Ray Leonard defeated Don DeLon, which he did by stoppage, he captured the 168 belt, and he also captured the light heavyweight belt. That's boxing politics for you, but he never actually fought at 174. That aside, most of his memorable fights were at 147. Especially when he fought the likes of Roberto Duran, which he actually fought Roberto Duran at 135 or 140, I believe it was, and then he fought Thomas Hitman Hearns at 147. So a lot of his greatest moments in his boxing career, although he didn't start at the welterweight division, he moved up to welterweight, but he fought a lot of his memorable fights at the welterweight division, especially against Thomas Hitman Hearns. However, he did fight Marvin Hagler at 160 because Marvin Hagler was always campaigning at 160 at the middleweight division. Mr. Entertainment, Mr. Vegas, Mr. Show Business always gave you exciting fights, win, lose, or draw. And obviously, Sugar Ray Leonard was a huge draw card, no matter who he fought. And pretty much anytime he fought someone, they got their biggest payday. Let's park that for a minute. Then we got Floyd Money Mayweather, who started off his career as Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather, was an explosive fighter. Started his campaign at super featherweight, 128, 130-pound limit, moved up in the weights to lightweight, super lightweight, welterweight, and he even fought at 154 against the likes of Miguel Cotto, Oscar De La Hoya, and of course, Canelo Alvarez. Now, most of his memorable fights were not at welterweight. If you really look at the history books and look at his fight record, there was a period of where he used, it was a lot of inactivity with Floyd. He didn't fight for almost 2 years at the welterweight division. And if you think about Carlos Baldomir, besides when he beat Carlos Baldomir for the WBA strap, he fought Ricky Hatton at 147. He fought Sugar Shane Mosley at 147. And of course, he fought Pacquiao at 147. The critics will argue that Floyd Mayweather fought these guys not in their prime. My argument to that is, well, then what was Floyd in his prime? So the argument is, you can't blame Floyd for not fighting someone when they're not their prime, when he in fact is as old, if not older, than his opponents. So I don't buy into that argument. I believe no matter what Floyd does or did, he's going to find a critic. He's often been criticized for not fighting certain opponents when he was at the lighter weights, like at the welterweight. He was asked to fight people like Paul Williams, who was campaigning at the time at 147 before he moved up to fight Sergio Martinez at 154. And obviously it didn't work out for him at 154. And he was asked to, he was inquired to fight people like Margarito when he was at camping at 147, didn't fight Margarito. As we know, Margarito had that situation where he had that ban. He had to be banned from boxing because he had that substance in his wraps when he fought Miguel Cotto, and damn near broke Miguel Cotto's face, and things of that nature. But then the likes could be said about Sugar Ray Leonard not fighting Marvin Hagler when he was being called out by Marvin Hagler years before he fought Marvin Hagler. And there was a 5-year inactivity with Sugar Ray Leonard. He came out of retirement 5 years out of the ring. In his first fight into the ring at 160, he fought marvelous Marvin Hagler. And we all know that fight went Sugar Ray Leonard's way. So I think when there is a criticism that's pointed at Floyd for the fights he didn't take or the fights he took at the so-called wrong time or opportune time for him, the same could be said about Sugar Ray Leonard. Do I disagree with having Floyd below Sugar Ray Leonard at the welterweight limit? I don't disagree with that. I think it's actually a fair comment by Floyd to be disappointed, but I actually believe that the critics or the writer who put Sugar Ray Leonard above Floyd only by 2 places, I think it's a fair placement. Floyd's biggest fights and his most memorable fights came when he was campaigning as Pretty Boy Floyd, and he did all of that from the featherweight on up to the 140-pound limit. Now, he's made history, or he's in the history books when he won his first world title after only 8 fights when he beat Gennaro Hernandez, campaign at super featherweight. His biggest payday fights obviously came in the welterweight division and at 154, beating the likes of Pacquiao, beating the likes of Ricky Hatton, which was a great fight, great victory for him. Ricky Hatton, of course, stepped up from 140 to 147. Not a good weight class for Ricky Hatton, but it was a great money move for Ricky Hatton and fighting a big name like Floyd. So he got his biggest payday. And of course, when Mayweather fought Alvarez, that was also a big fight for him and a big money move for him. But Floyd was just too good for Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo Alvarez has moved on to bigger heights since then. So tell me what you think. Your greatest all-time welterweights, does Floyd or should Floyd be placed above Sugar Ray Leonard? Because obviously we all know the number 1 welterweight on that list was Sugar Ray Robinson. And I can't find anyone arguing whether or not Sugar Ray Robinson shouldn't be the best welterweight of all times. Fought over 120 times at welterweight, which is an absurd amount of times, and he only lost once. And his greatest fights were at welterweight, but he also had great fights at middleweight, Sugar Ray Robinson that is, and he ruled both weight classes. So there is no argument who should be number 1, but my argument is, does Floyd have a right to be angry at being placed below Sugar Ray Leonard on the all-time top 10 greatest welterweights of all time? Tell me what you think. Hit the like and subscribe button. Leave your comments below. I'm out of here for now. That's all I got for y'all right now. I'll be back at y'all with another one. Peace.